I feel seasonal anime has spoiled us nowadays. We get to enjoy many banger shows simultaneously with Japan, just with a click or tap of a finger, or by just waving your hand, okay, I will stop, this is not funny. But the one thing we mostly miss out on is movies. Even though we see seasonal anime with Japan thanks to simulcasting, we do not get to see movies with them. If you are lucky enough, after 4 or 5 months, it might get released in your nearest theaters. Or, if you're in the same boat as me, you can forget about seeing anime movies on the big screen. Unless a particular movie makes enough noise, then you can get one out of the blue moon. Or, you just wait it out until it is available on the streaming services, but until then, you tend to forget about it. So, I've got some amazing anime movies which are underappreciated, or you just might have missed out on them. I have those which will get you hyped enough to beat the shit out of your pillow, to you holding onto that same pillow while you curl up and cry yourself to sleep. Yeah, we definitely have that second one. Hopefully you can enjoy every pick, but just in case, I've included the timestamps, so you can skip around. I am D Thatch, and this is what I got for you. Let's open up with an action-packed Wild Red, which has the dumbest child character with an amazing animation and color palette, where you will be grinning ear to ear from start to finish. This is Promare, coming out from Studio Trigger, where Earth was a normal place once, with normal people, but one day, some people who were getting abused, some frustrated, or even annoyed, suddenly snapped, or I would like to say, they got triggered. For fuck's sake. The ones who snapped suddenly combust and could control fire. As a result, they were branded Burnished, where humanity was divided between Burnished and humans due to some Burnished going out of control. And this is where Gallo, our protagonist, shows up as a firefighter. You are going to love Gallo. He's brash, he's an absolute chad, and an idiot at the same time. But now and then, he also has a sentimental side to him, where he does not do too crazy things which would cause problems for his friends. On the other side, we have Leo, who is the leader of the Burnished, and is an amazing hot boy. Yeah, he's a boy. Really? This is Ostolfo all over again. Promare is really amazing. As I mentioned before, Studio Trigger is behind it, and they have bought their unique animation style with amazing color palette, where it is so in your face that you freaking love it. I want to know what the animators were on while animating it, because good lord, I want some of that shit. There is a scene where two characters crash their car into each other, break their windshield, and headbutt each other. What? It is so amazing. Whenever I watch any form of media, I'm mostly like this on the outside. And on the inside, yes! Go! Kick his ass! Yeah! But while watching Promare, I was grinning ear to ear, probably doing the pork face. I don't know. Might have even shouted hell yes and smacked the shit out of my pillow. And I still haven't mentioned the music yet, where not only it sings perfectly, but it is in your face, where it goes. And 15 minutes into the movie, I had probably guessed it. It was Hiroyuki Sawano, which it is. This man is a freaking legend. Someone bless his soul and suck his toes for his long happy life. Promare is the embodiment of why I love anime. I highly suggest you to watch Promare on a TV or a big computer screen. You will have an epic time blasting those speakers with the music and would be glad to see the amazing animation on the big screen. And after you finish the movie, you will want more, I know it. So, there are two OVAs, one of Leo and other of Gallo. Promare is the type of movie where you can say, I had an epic experience. Tokyo Godfather is a complete package, a movie with a good story, amazing humor, well written characters who will make you emotional, but the next thing you will be laughing your asses off, with an ending so cozy that it wraps up perfectly and you cannot help but clap at the end. Yes, that is Satoshi Kon's Tokyo Godfather. We follow three guys, Drunkard Jin, Drag Queen Hana, and Runaway Miyuki, who are homeless and live in a cardboard box in the public park, when one day they find an abandoned baby near the scraps on a Christmas Eve, where they decide to go on a quest to find the real parents of this baby and ask them why did they abandon her. On this journey, thanks to their rotten luck, they get into crazy situations, from assassination plot of a syndicate boss to being on the national television in front of millions of people. But often the one who ends up saving them in some way or form is the baby. There were some moments where I was about to cry laughing my ass off. And there were also some which were hard-hitting, emotionally touching moments, because along this journey, we hear the stories of these three: the Jin's cause of homelessness, the troubles Hannah had dealing with the society for being queer, and the reason why Miyuki ran away from her home, which made us believe these were real people with a shitty life. The story does touch on some sensitive topics, but never overstays its welcome. Where on this journey, not only these three, but also the ones they come in contact with, in some way, have an impact on their life. Some scenes were set up in so much realism, we believe it in some way or form, thanks to the way it is presented. And what really sold this was the voice acting. The voice acting was so good.
おい待てよおい
By no means I am an expert in voice acting, but I have two good pair of ears. Most of the time when I hear the character's voice, I go, and then there are times when I say, why the hell does he sound like that? He sounds weird. But in Tokyo Godfathers, oh, it fit them all perfectly. From the main cast to some random people on the street, everyone felt like a real walking, breathing human. No one sounded like, Nani? Nanda? Or Oni-chan? Oh, sorry, wrong script. I don't know how Satoshi Kon does it, but when you look at it, this movie is anime as hell, but at the same time, you do not feel like it is an anime. The way he used to direct movies was really amazing. Hopefully, he's resting in peace. I know it will feel like I am repeating myself, but a complete package is the only way I can describe it. And I am damn sure you will have an amazing time watching this, and by the end, you will be completely satisfied. Have you ever seen a movie before and said this is weird, bizarre, and I love it? If you have, you are about to see another one. If you have not, buckle up. You are about to go on a journey with Tekken Kincrete. When I say weird and bizarre, I'm not talking about the art style, which is really unique for 2009 when it got released. Tekken Kincrete is a perfect example of a movie where one says, show, don't tell. Everything is explained visually, but rarely said through the dialogues. The movie follows the life in Treasure Town, but mainly the life of these two boys, Kuro and Shiro. From the starting few minutes of the movie, we get the feeling that this is not your regular town. The kids are doing parkour with superhuman strength. The town is supposed to be in Japan, and you see this humongous statue of an Indian god. Along with kanji and hiragana, you also see some Devanagari scripts on the shop banners. Everything is patched up together, where the town feels clunky and weird, but really cool at the same time. Like a toy town a kid would build, and that is what the movie is. These kids are about to hit that age where you are expected to leave your child games and pranks behind to take one step into the adulthood. Shiro, who talks and acts like a child who is always in his dream world, imagining and living in it. Then we have got Kuro, who is pretty mature for his age. He hates the adults and will not think for even a second before he kicks someone's ass, which is pretty badass in my opinion. Even though it is not stated clearly, there are scenes which imply Kuro had a pretty rough abusive childhood, where the town they are growing up in is about to go in some major changes with the help of Yakuza funding, where not only Kuro and Shiro get tangled in this, but also other characters who really make an impact on you. Some like Snake, who are here to rebuild the town, or the Rat, who would like to preserve the monuments of the town and his childhood memories. These things really hit home. Let me tell you a story. When I moved out of my home city to enter college, I didn't think much of it. But when I came back home for the first time, I remember saying so much has changed, to which my sister said, what? It's the same. It's only been a year. That really caught me off guard. For her, it's the same. But for me, it has changed vastly. When you are watching Tekken Kincrete, you feel the same thing. Oh, the town is changing. Everything is changing. But the grim sad truth is, you are not a kid anymore who can think he has superpowers and run around the house. Tekken Kincrete is exactly that, but presented in a visual way.
Smile for me!
Words Bubble Up Like a Soda Pop is one of those movies which will leave you with a fuzzy, wholesome feeling in your heart. As for the story, it is your wholesome, contagious rom-com where you cannot help but smile with excitement by the end of the movie. We follow Cherry and Smile. Cherry, who has a lot of social anxiety but loves to write haiku and is temporarily working in the mall to cover his mom's shift, where he bumps into Smile, who is what you might call...
Are you YouTuber?
オレンジサンシャインのスマイルです。
Well, despite her name, she is very conscious of her smile because of her beaver teeth and braces. So to prevent people from seeing her teeth, she always wears mask and really loses her self-confidence and has a terrible social anxiety when she does not have her mask on. She goes all day without food just so she does not have to remove her mask. She constantly doubts herself and really beats herself down while still appearing happy on the outside. There is a scene where she colossally fucks up and she tries to fix that thing, where every time she tries to take the first step, she fails, and that happens again and again and again. And when she finds a bit of a success, she fails again. That scene really hit hard, man. I just wanted to get in there and headpat her. Obviously, for spoiler reasons, I kept it vague. Why don't we keep the story aside for a minute and just talk about the art style of this movie? Just look at it. Every scene has such a unique, fresh colors, where streets during the sunset are washed in this amazing shades of orange, while complementing the color of the buildings. The night looks beautiful, the day looks fresh. I remember when I was having my dinner while watching this movie, I just couldn't take my eyes off just to eat my food. You can just take this scene of Smile just running around her house, and does this look fucking great? These sisters are in the different section of their room, and every section looks so fresh. And what the fuck? She has a triple monitor setup. The music in the movie is not in your face like Promare, but it is so good. It fits the theme and the art style of the movie while giving you the lo-fi type vibe where you cannot help but catch jam to it. And I am listening to it right now. Right now means when I was writing the script, and it was so good. The movie tackles the issue of social anxiety without getting too heavy about it while following a really sweet journey along the way. I am purposefully not talking too much about the plot because the way these little things come in a circle by the end was really sweet. From Smile's self-consciousness about her smile to Cherry's social anxiety and his love for haiku. I really loved this movie, and it is available on Netflix. So just do a favor to your eyes and ears and watch it. Jindro the Wolf Brigade is one of those movies you watch and think everyone has watched it. So I'm not going to put it on the list until you see on my anime list. It is all the way down there. What the fuck? What? How? I thought Jindro was a very popular movie just by seeing the people who have worked on it. We have Hiroyuki Okura, who worked on movies like Paprika, Paranoia Agent, and Your Name. We have Mamoru Oshii, who is famous for his Ghost in the Shell franchise. And am I seeing this right? Is this Yoko Kanno? Oh baby, let's go! Then you go and start the movie, which is definitely not let's go type movie. It is a slow paced movie where every moment each character makes plays a significant impact. It is all about noticing the little things, and these little things later on become very important, and you go, oh, fuck me for not noticing it. Jindro, the Wolf Brigade is set up in an alternate universe where Japan does not affiliate with Germany in World War II, but they still lose. They get invaded by the Germans, and the following years are very rough. There are constant public riots, and everything is under military control. And between all of this chaos, the special police force tries to fit in with a protagonist, Guts Light. It is kind of bonkers how much similarity he has with Guts. The face, the build. What is next? Armor? You gotta be shitting me. Okay, Fuse fails to shoot a girl who he was supposed to. As a result, she suicide bombs in front of him, which gives him a PTSD of how he could have stopped her. To seek some closure, he goes to visit her grave, where he runs into her sister. Both of them spend some time together, and we see they are falling in love. But due to the incident, it is kind of uncomfortable to see at times. Both of them get stuck due to political espionage, and when you think this can't get any worse, it gets even worse. The story is definitely not roses and sunshines. It is about brutal political coups, riots, bombings, espionages, and between all of this, we have our protagonist Fuse and Kei, his lover. The cell animation in this movie does stand alongside of Akira and Satoshi Kon movies. The animation is like liquid. It is like wave motion machine, which goes from here to there and here again. And I definitely picked this analogy because I want to show you this motion machine. Because look at it. The animation is just like this. The water splatters everywhere when shot with the machine gun. The way anything moves is like, oh. Or the sound design. Just hear this gun clicking. Or even the Molotov. It's so good. I know I flipped out about Yoko Kanno, but she is not the main composer. She worked on the main theme of Jindro, and it is so good. And so are the other OSTs. It is not in your face, but they enhance the scene from making you really uncomfortable to, oh god, why? Why are you doing this? Just let him live a normal life. Do you really want to? Do you really want to create another struggler? This is one of those shows you can show it to your dad, and he will say, you know what? This was amazing. I really like this anime. And then he sees you dance to Rena Circulation, and it's all downhill from there. To put it simply, Jindro the Wolf Brigade is amazing. Go watch it. Okay, I did say 5 movies, but I really want to talk about this one because I do not know when I will get the chance to talk about it. And now, you're too deep to quit. Just stick with me, okay? Garden of Words is the movie where I cherish those 45 minutes entirely. From the start, when Akizuki walks into the park and sees Yukino sitting there with her beer and chocolate, to that emotional roller coaster of an end, till the end credits roll out where he opens up that letter. I loved every minute and second of it. And I'm not just talking about the visual beauty which Makoto Shinkai gave us, but the dynamic between those two, just meeting every rainy day to give each other company, and along the way, unknowingly helping each other out with their issues was really beautiful. Where a 15-year-old boy is trying to figure out his life thinking that the one he is spending time with has already figured it all out and she is thinking of him as a kid, but at the same time, the 27-year-old woman is too afraid to let him find out that she's just pretending that she has all figured out. But in reality, she's as lost as he is and is more scared than that 15-year-old kid. I remember watching this movie when I was about to graduate out of my high school, watching every kid say that they want to be an engineer or a CA, and me being a nervous wreck, not figuring out what I want to do. And to be honest, many things did change, but still, I am trying to figure that one thing out. And if by any chance you have not seen Garden of Words, please check it out. It is amazing. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and sub. That's about it. See you in the next one.